Welcome to the first podcast in months, post-quarantine, semi-post-quarantine. We're kind of apart.
Zach and I work together anyway, so if he has it, I have it. If I have it, he has it.
Yeah. So we're safe. We're
either safe. We're either really safe or we're really not
both
safe.
Not safe.
We're both totally not safe. Which was weird the other day. It's weird when when people come in to the gym sometimes to do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't so our gym's closed right now, but then sometimes there'll be people coming in and it's like, I read how it lingers in the air a little bit. Or like the grocery store, that's a better example. The grocery store, it's like when you buy, you pick something up and then you leave and then someone else walks there or something, or something you pick,
in the air.
and it's like it's kind of like, I'm sure that's how the flu gets passed a lot too, right? If it's in the air for a little bit, like not like forever, it's just if you breathe, they're saying even if you breathe, it's there a little bit.
Yeah.
And then so it's like I could like wash my hands and stay 2 meters apart and stuff like that, but sometimes it feels very difficult to like
avoid.
You know what I mean? Because it's like you're there anyway, and then like I guess I should just like once he's there, obviously I keep my distance, but then you wait. Like I guess I'll just wait for like a couple seconds so the air dissipates, and then you know what I mean. But at some point, it's kind of like if fucking anybody has it, like I have it. You know what I mean? Like you're within the vicinity of like if he has it, like I fucking have it.
And we're pretty fortunate because we're in Vancouver and the cases are so low now. I think it was like 7.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
like,
going down.
We're slow, like we're getting new cases, but not like a lot. It's like within like less than 20 cases, 10 cases, which I don't know if that's a lot or not.
I mean, in a city, in a province that has millions, I'm sure we're okay.
Yeah.
But I did hear like one person could infect like 1,000.
Yeah, well, I could see that though. Like that's what I was saying is like it's just if it's like a little bit in the like it's not airborne per se, obviously, like the flu.
Yeah.
What's the other one that's airborne? I forgot. Measles or something, was it? I can't remember what it was. Well, the one that's airborne.
Common flu. I don't know.
The common flu is not super airborne either.
No, I
the droplets that get in your lungs and all that shit. But
I did see a funny tweet though. It was like, if a fart can get through underwear and a pair of jeans, you think that a mask is going to protect you? I was like, okay, yeah. But it's not the same thing. But sorry, you were about to say something?
I can't remember now.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about why we're here, like what we're planning to talk about after all these months, because some big stuff did happen for you in that time.
Well, so like I always think about me and Bobby, my other friend, always talk about how you think life happens on like an average of like, oh, something happens and then you chill and that, but usually it's like not that much happens and then everything happens at once and then not that much happens and then everything happens at once.
It's not like a nice bell curve.
Yeah, you think it's like, oh yeah, one thing happened this year and then one thing happened. No, it's like 10 things happened this year and then 5 years of nothing. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Which isn't exactly what happened. I just think that's a funny thing that happens in life in general. But
for sure.
Like, what sparked, so we were doing Easy XP, we were kind of playing around with stuff, and then COVID hit and we stopped hanging out because you can't see your friends anymore, but you can see all the random strangers at the grocery store.
For sure, yeah.
But so that, and then I guess because of that, I started posting more because people, like, I feel the energies of people. So just as an example, since we work at the gym and the gym's closed, but we still work there just to answer phone calls and for security purposes, we're sitting at the desk, nobody's coming in, the gym's closed.
Easier job.
Is people, the job's amazing now, but people like call the gym and they're like, so when are you guys gonna open? And then you can feel there's like this internal, like, they're legitimately like, it's almost like they feel like they're in jail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're like, like, when are you guys gonna open? I'm like, I don't think we're gonna open for a while. Like, it's gonna be a while.
Like this isn't
just
a serious thing.
Yeah, this is like a once in a century kind of like thing. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's okay. You don't have to work out for like a few months, maybe. Like, I think that's worth not. And then there's actually it's funny because one guy was saying before we closed, he's like, "You guys are gonna close, right?" It's like, "Well, we're gonna try to stay open as long as we can."
Yeah, same thing.
And then he was like, "Good, because it's gonna ruin my gains." Like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I have like a program and my coach, like if I skip the day, skip some whatever, like it's gonna ruin my routine or whatever.
Yeah, because like, that's the biggest one.
I'm like, yeah, but like, you could die. You're like, I don't,
like, hey,
I don't understand.
You win some, you dim some.
And like some of these people, like when they call, they're like, it's not a big deal, but like you can feel they're not mad at me, but they're struggling so much. You know what I mean? Like, oh, one guy, he was like, I was like, oh yeah, we're not gonna open for a while, and he's like, fucking bullshit.
Yeah, right.
And like not at me, but just he's struggling so much, and so that sparks me to like, there's so much like, dude, you're not in jail. This is not jail. You're not
exactly.
in jail.
Or people making it sound like it's so bad, but it's like, okay, well, in the States, I understand it's a whole different subject. They're not getting the support they need. But here, it's like, we have this thing called CERB. You can literally, if you lost your job, you get $2,000
There's like 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah.
There's like
BC
CERB,
just
there's
gave
EI.
an extra like $1,000 to like.
Yeah, like there's another like they're trying at least, and hopefully like we won't like I'm sure we'll have to pay for it somehow like in the future, but
I'm sure there'll be some sales tax or something. Or they'll
like
ask for some.
For now, it's like they're trying and like it's okay.
Yeah,
and we're doing a pretty good job of like I feel like everybody's trying to stay inside. I mean like. It's weird. There's that thing about the beaches one where they're like, were you the one that told me this? Where like, you know, if you take the picture from on ground view and you look at the beach, it looks like there's a bajillion people because you're looking at them like this. But then if you look at like a bird's eye point of view,
like a lot,
if you look at bird's eye point of view, it's like actually no, people are actually pretty distant.
Oh yeah.
Because like you're seeing it from this way. I'm just
thinking of like the Florida pictures though. It's where it's like it's a packed beach, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, Vancouver also isn't the most dense city anyway in terms of population, which is a good thing in these situations, obviously.
For sure. Yeah.
But anyway, so like I started posting more because of like those type of feelings where people like. I'm obviously like there's all these different situations and this is like it depends case by case and whatever, but I also think that it's like I don't know, like I guess these restrictions are like an excuse for people to complain. So like whenever you're feeling like it happens to me sometimes too, like whenever you're feeling down or sad or depressed or whatever, you can immediately go to things that are like out of your control and use them as like excuses. Yeah. Right? Like, oh, it's because COVID, like I can't go out and do the things I normally do. That's the other thing that bothers me too is people are so attached to like this thing that they like I can't like so I was talking to one guy that we were talking about, he's like, yeah, I just like I'm not coping well, like I can't go to the gym because his routine was like go to work, go to the gym. Yeah. And then go home, and then he has social time at the gym, right? Work out, sit in the sauna, talk to the people.
Talk to all the people you normally see there, yeah.
And so, but I was like, yeah, like, look, I asked him straight up, and I was kind of like, yeah, but like, do you think you're really making that many gains by going to the gym every day? Like, were you really making the progress? And he immediately, before I even finished, he's like, no, you're right, I wasn't making, like, significant gains. Like you're maintaining, but you wasn't, like, And so, like, it's people are so, like, I can't do my thing. Like, I need to do my thing. Yeah. Like, I can't do my fucking thing. And people are still clawing at it. Like one guy's like, oh, like, are you sure you can't just let me work out, like, by myself? Like, I'll pay you guys extra, like, at, like, 12 in the morning or something. I can't just come down. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Oh, 12 in the morning. Of course. Yeah, totally.
Extra. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
that gets rid of the virus.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's like
throw money at the issue.
They feel, like, trapped because they can't do that thing that they normally did. But this is like a test of like, was the thing that you normally did actually that great? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if you should actually like think about that. Like for example, there's someone I was talking to too, where I was like, yeah, but like, isn't it? It's kind of nice that you get to work from home because now you don't have to commute and the time and whatever.
I saved a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, but like I kind of miss waking up at like 5:45 and like I had like my routine set and whatever. I'm like, yeah, but like you can make your own routine. Why is that a thing you're complaining about? These are the people
that will never be happy with whatever choice.
Yeah, like anything happens, they're gonna complain.
Because
you know what I mean?
I hear people complaining like, I kind of miss going to work and stuff, and then it's like when you're at work, they're bitching because they don't have enough time for friends or
100% when you have to go to work again, you're gonna complain because you're like, fuck, I hate work. You know what I mean? But it's just you're looking for, you know what I mean? So I like, to me, in a lot of ways, obviously this is like very specific people I'm talking about. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people like legitimately like your business can't run during this time. It sucks. Like that's legitimate.
I feel for a lot of small businesses, like they're going under, and a lot of things we are used to might not be there when this is all done. Like a lot of movie theaters won't be there, I'm sure. Yeah. So I mean, there's obviously legitimate things that I understand. I'm like, but I mean also I see this time as like I see this as like there's always opportunity when these things happen, like innovation and all that stuff, but like
For example, for me personally, and I know like this doesn't maybe apply to everyone, but I think it should, is that there's less pressure to do the things that you used to have to do, for example.
Yeah.
Right? And there's you can kind of just freely do whatever you want. Whereas, so for example, I always talk about training is like, if I didn't go to training, I would feel bad because other people went to training and I missed out. I feel like I'm behind or something like that, sure, right? Yeah. And so, but now there's nobody training because the gyms are closed. So now I actually don't feel bad not training because nobody else is training.
Yeah.
And doing all the things I actually wanted to do otherwise, which might have been like playing games, building Gundam kits, or whatever else I would have done if I didn't go to training. Like, I don't feel guilty about not doing those things. So, but even outside of that, I think like, especially, and a lot of the stuff I'm talking about comes from the fact that we have the internet too, right? Like, if we didn't have the internet, I would be crying for sure. I'd be like, I just got to stay home and there's nothing I can
that
do.
would be like, if we didn't have distractions or coping things we enjoy like at home, then
see, arguably I would say the internet doesn't necessarily fall into the internet to me, and this is where I'm going, we're getting there.
The reason here.
The internet is like, at least it's almost like half of, or like 40% at least of like your life. And you can use it as a distraction. Obviously you can like go through watching billions of YouTube videos because you're just gonna sleep, but you don't want to sleep, so you're watching YouTube videos or scrolling through Instagram. But it's also where you live your life actively if you understand the way the world works. And this is what I'll probably talk lots and lots more about this in other podcasts. But when you do something, you post about it. Not necessarily, like, obviously there's some people, right, there's not two different people, but there's some people that obviously post because they want the attention, right? They want to be like, look, I'm successful. And that's the same people that in real life, when you ask them what they do, they just blow off a bunch of list of things. Like, I have 6 jobs, and I have all these degrees, and I have the family and the car. And so it's the same people that are posting on Instagram that are like, look, I'm on vacation. Look at, so there's those people that want the attention. But there's other people, like, as an example that I brought up, it's like, some people even, like, like on Mother's Day, that was the example I used before, is like when people post, like, hey, look, my mother, it's Mother's Day. They're not like, hey, this is going to be the post that's going to make me viral, I'm going to make all this money, sponsorship deals, look, my mom, like, that's not, it's just, this is Mother's Day, I love my mother, that's it. That's the end of it. Yeah. And so, like, that's how, it's like when you tweet something, you're not like, this tweet is going to build my brand and all this stuff. You're just like, this, I had a thought, I'm hungry. Yeah. That was it. That was the whole thing. There's no intent besides just like, I'm hungry.
Here's the thing. Yeah.
And so on the internet, I feel like there's a lot of, that's a lot of where life is lived. And that's why I feel like when we're in these times, it's not a blessing, but it's nice to have the internet where we can live our lives and all these things. Like, I can go watch a video about something that I like never knew, like something, what did I watch recently? I was watching those explained ones on Netflix where they explain all these different things, which ironically they had a pandemic thing in November, which was funny. Or I was watching Our Planet on Netflix.
Oh, I know that show. I watched a few episodes. Pretty good.
And it's so funny. It's so, Anyway, so pretty good. Being in quarantine has made me push. So like, for example, like I even started dick around with the skateboard at work because I'm just like bored. Yeah, exactly. And I always wanted to skate as a kid, and like skating's cool. And, like, I just wanted to try. I'm like, what else am I going to do, right? Yeah. There's nobody coming in the gym. No. So, like, there's so many different things. Or, like, I can build more Gundams. I build way more Gundam kits now because I have more time. Yeah. And so, like, I don't think there's any real reason, like, if you're in a similar situation to complain, like, because you have the time to, like, explore different things. And the world isn't going to blame you for not doing the stuff that you usually do, like, your routine and whatever. So, anyway, I just started talking more about that stuff. And it like made me really want to post and talk about that stuff because I'm tired of the crying because it's just there's nothing like, come on,
it doesn't solve anything. And I even see it with myself when quarantine first happened. It's like, wow, this is real. Like, it took me a bit to like let it sink in. And then at first when you're like, oh shit, the world's in turmoil, I don't even know what it's gonna look like when we come out of this. You're kind of like, oh fuck a bit. I understand that, but then after like a week or two, I was like, okay, I gotta stop seeing this as like a detriment and see this as an opportunity now. Because now I'm home more. If I can't start doing more art, then when am I ever gonna do it? Now that I'm forced to be home. So like I've been drawing more often. I've been trying to put out more like videos and stuff, and I can arguably do more.
I mean, it's always like but I feel like when there's that struggle or some kind of adversity, it's like you can use those as excuses for either way, right? Exactly. Like you can use it as excuse, like this is why I'm gonna fail, because I never had the chance to I don't have this, I can't do what I used to do, whatever. But you can also use it, and you see it in winners, like this is why I'm gonna win.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why I'm gonna be successful, is because this happened, right? Like I could argue that right now. It's like, oh, COVID gave me the time to make content, and it gave me the motivation to talk about something that's meaningful. And also, people are all on their phones more anyway because they're at home. So I gave me the attention and the exposure because like
it's just like times of war. People that invested in war bonds and stuff. Like made a lot of money because they found an opportunity in a tough time to, find a lucrative method. Not that money is everything, obviously. We're talking about happiness here,
but same idea,
exactly.
I think, right? And that's what I would try to advocate too. Is like you're trying to invest more into your happiness now because you have the time to think about it.
Because soon you're gonna be commuting to work again. You're gonna have less time. You're gonna complain. You gotta fucking go to work and get up really early and shit. And you're doing something you probably don't like.
And so
during this time, Curt found an opportunity. He went on GaryVee's show.
So Gary's been doing this show. Yeah, he's been doing a show, Tea with GaryVee, because similar to him, like he's got all this time to like not like a ton of time because he has to still do his stuff.
Human. He's gotta be at home.
But he has some time that he decided he's gonna do every day or every weekday. He's gonna do an hour of just answering people's questions, and he's gonna have them on the live stream, answer people's questions, and everybody
on like Instagram Live.
And so it's everything.
It's on everything. Okay.
And so he just got on Twitch.
I remember him. I saw a clip he posted where he's like, I'm going all out on Twitch. I'm like, whoa.
And then so basically all you do, so everybody asked me after how you get on the show, so you text him your question with hashtag Tea with GaryVee at the top, or you can tweet him if you're not in North America. And so you text him, and then what happens is the team will text you back if they choose you, and they'll just be like, hey, get ready to be on the show sometime this week. It might be tomorrow. Stay tuned tomorrow if has time. And if it's not tomorrow, then we'll try the next day and whatever. And then so basically you're sitting in the queue after they send you this link, and you're watching the show, and then he tells you when you're next, and then they'll just put you live. And then it's funny because, like, if you've watched this show, if you're familiar with Tea with GaryVee, is like, when you're watching it as a viewer, you're like, fuck, every guy is the same thing. They're like, I'm gonna give me some context before I ask the question. And it's kind of like, whereas, like, as a viewer, you want them to just, like, ask your question, bro. But then,
just get it out of the way. Yeah.
But then I realized when I'm the guy on there, when I was the guy, when they put me on, I'm like, it's so weird to just be like, suddenly, I've never met Gary in my life.
No.
And now, like, it went from he's never seen me in his life before, and to now, like...
And it's not only that. You know so much about him, and he knows nothing about you.
That's what I mean, right? Like, and suddenly, I'm live face-to-face with him almost, and then it's like, I know I have... And also, I was last, too, so I had, like, a limited amount of time. I know he has to go. So I'm like, how do I... Like, I could just ask my question, but I don't want the wrong... Because the thing is, I know him enough that if I don't want the same answer I've heard millions of times. I need him to know more about me so that he can give me advice.
Like this, a more specific...
like a more specific... Like, I know the shit that you said. I just want you to tell me specifically that this is what I should do, rather than, like... Because there's a chance that I might get caught up in, like, he gives me an answer that I've heard before. And I'm like, well, then it wasn't really useful for me to go on the show because I already know the answer. So it's like I kind of feel... That's why I can understand people needing to give the context for, like, the backstory and all that stuff. Because it's like, okay, but you need to know, like, what I know from you so you can give me advice based on what I know. Like, how caught up I am on, stuff. But, and so, like... You can go watch that clip if you want. I can't remember which day it is because he's done so many now. But it was also cool because... Like at the end you saw how I asked to but I thought it was like it lined up well because like I was the last person and I'm sure he said yes to a lot of other people, but like I'm the last person and he said I'm like likable, and then Dustin liked me too. Dustin's a guy that works for him, and so I thought like I had a good chance of him saying yes for me hanging out with them for a day, so I thought that was cool. But
so hopefully that does happen down the line.
Yeah, if I keep... he said if I post on TikTok 3 times a day. So if you're wondering why I'm posting on TikTok so much or whatever, it's because I want to see Gary. That's why. No, I'm just kidding.
And
it's that. It's also because I should.
Yeah.
We only have 10 minutes left, so there'll be a pause in the middle here, so we'll just keep going.
That's fine.
So this podcast is more we're thinking about talking about what happened after that.
Yeah, post Gary.
Because I'm sure lots of people are curious about that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because people still treat it like, congrats, bro. Like, wow. Like, it's like I'm gonna be famous or something. But like, I can see there's a tiny bit of that. In the sense of like I have more exposure and like the Gary's community has reached out to me, like a lot of them, a lot of people that follow
a bit about that. That's really
like a lot of the people that follow Gary come, like they message me and they're like, hey, I'm watching you, because they feel like it's their like a small little duty of like keeping on top of me to make sure I'm posting TikTok, like try to help me, encourage me. So there's a bit of that. And then there's all. It's funny because there's all kinds of people.
That they're like, hey,
a little bit.
Make sure you post.
It's because Gary will do it. He'll be like, yo, all you guys follow this guy and make sure he's doing it, right? And then they know, they're like, oh shit, everybody from the community is watching me now. So if I don't do it, they're gonna like.
They're gonna rag on
at least for the first week, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's those people that are just supportive specifically because they like Gary. There's some people that there wasn't. I thought there'd be more of them, but I'm glad there wasn't. Of the I don't know what you call it, but like the hustler guys, I guess. I don't know what to call them, but the guys that are kind of like, the worst one I got was, hey, saw you on Gary, I'll give you a follow me. And I was like, oh,
I hate that follow for a follow thing.
Okay,
yeah.
Right? And I was like, I just kind of didn't reply.
Yeah,
but I replied to like literally everybody else. Even there's guys that were like, hey man, they at least they went about it nicer, but it was still the same thing, like a right hook right off the bat. They're like, hey man, sorry on GaryVee, really like the stuff, think you're onto something. You want to maybe do a podcast or something like sometime in the future and whatever.
Yeah. And
I was like, yeah, maybe. And I was just kind of like, I'm kind of like caught up with my own stuff and I don't know how I'll feel. And, like, it takes a lot of energy for me to like do, especially when I'm like meeting people.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So they're like, yeah, that's cool. So they're nice about it. So I'm glad there wasn't so much of that. Mm-hmm. And then the last type of people, which are the best people, that are like, they actually like look at my content like, damn, this guy is like, they resonated with like a lot of the stuff I posted. Mm-hmm. And it's like, they see that I've been doing it. Like I know, like I put my gun to model kits out and I put my kickboxing videos out and I put the stuff where I'm just talking. Yeah. And it's just the big thing, like a big theme that I think is important is being unapologetically yourself. And it's the same thing of like the high school game of like, it's scary to go into high school and like change your hairstyle or like you dyed your hair or you're with a new chick or something or just something that's different and defining of you on a first impression. Mm-hmm. It's scary to do that in high school because everybody's watching. And that's what it feels like on social media is like, if you haven't posted or you haven't been posting or whatever, even people do it with every single post, is like, everybody's going to see this. And they're going to see me with my dyed hair and they're going to be like, whoa. Or like if I shave my head, people are like, whoa, Curt shaved his head. You know what I mean? Like it's like a big thing because they feel like everybody's watching.
Interesting.
Right? And so like I don't think it's really, because, and this is what I was saying recently too in the most recent post, is that it's the depth of content now, like because the internet allows you to like post as much shit as you possibly want to. Like there's no limit to how much you can post.
Sure.
And so what you'll be defined by isn't that one post necessarily. Mm-hmm. You'll be defined by the depth of all the stuff you posted. If someone's willing to, like, it's there there if they want to. Everybody's gonna judge you on that one post because it's the same thing as me having a bad first impression of someone. Mm-hmm. Right? You meet them for 1 second and you're like, wow, that guy's a dick, and then there's just that judgment in your head, but you know that's not like a real complete full assessment of this person, right? Like I had 2
How many
seconds.
people have become friends and they didn't like the person at first,
Exactly, right? And so like going back to like, they saw like these guys that resonate with my shit, is like sometimes they actually do dig into my stuff. Yeah. Like one guy even was like, you said you mentioned, it's funny, like you don't even know what people are gonna pick up on too. Yeah. He's like, you mentioned that you you were making videos for a while, making content for a while, and he just wanted to check if I was lying or not. And he's like, yeah, he looked through us up and he found our page, actually, like the Guys Making Videos page.
Oh, really?
And he's like, yeah, I saw you guys had like a page with all your friends, and then I saw when you kind of started to like talk more like on your own and like find your voice and kind of take over.
Oh, that guy really delved deep.
Yeah, like the thing is, we feel like it delved deep, but like we've done this where you just like scope a guy's page and you just kind of like,
so you go down the rabbit hole a bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah. you start to discover, oh, they had this channel too, and this one's attached, and oh, what's this about?
Yeah, if you go deep enough.
Yeah, I did that recently with a YouTuber, and I was like, oh, I found all their big content, and then I found they had another page, and it was like, yo, this is like their most famous thing, and they actually have like celebrities on this, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because little do so many of these people that follow Mino or wherever is that like I actually had a page where we did, like we did guys making videos.
We did skits and games.
Because they could look at it and be like, what is this? We had a show.
Yeah, we had a full sitcom. Yeah.
But anyway, so there's those people, right, that are legit. Like one guy I posted like some quote I put on Twitter of it's my own quote, but inspired by Gary a little bit, I'm sure. It's all the same shit, because to me it's just like, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then he was like, yo, this is like the realest post I ever read. And I'm like, whoa, thanks, bro. He's cool. I know, I looked at his page too, like I went down his rabbit hole a little bit, and he reposts a lot of people's stuff, like Grant Cardone and all these guys.
Okay.
Right? But it's still like feels good for me, like to have someone say that, like that they resonate. And weirdly, like here's another thing that I would say too, is that when, I don't know, everybody's scared to put out a little bit more personal stuff. Everybody's scared for that. You know what I mean? But whenever they do, I've noticed they always get like a good response. Like they're surprised how good of a response they get out of it.
Yeah.
So like, for example, like my girlfriend was like, oh, I'm taking a break from doing some of my, like she does henna, which is like tattoo stuff, temporary tattoo stuff. And then she's like, oh, I'm taking a break because I just need some time. Like basically just like artist break. You know what I mean? Like I need time. Like this is a lot for me, like to take clients and do all this stuff. And then
especially now.
And then, well, I mean, this was a while. This was like last year. Yeah. And so that's kind of weird to like expose that part and say why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Because that's like a personal thing. It's like, why are you making these decisions, right? And expose like what is your mindset and what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But she was like, wow, like so many people actually were like, wow, that's awesome that you're like taking time, that you're for yourself. Like I think that's important. Like there's a lot of support. And she was like, whoa. Same thing with this guy that's running a Gundam shop where he sells Gundam kits. Is I guess he had trouble launching his website, and so he just put a thing out like, hey man, I'm trying, like it's like it sucks because I know all these other websites are up or whatever, like just it's tough because it's like tough times right now and he needs to get the website out, but it kept, I guess he just can't figure it out, like it's tough, right? Like I don't know, I feel like making a website's pretty hard. Yeah, and he's running. He's doing the whole thing by himself too, right?
Yeah.
And so he put that out, and he's like, it was super like hard to do, and I'm sure he was like cringing of himself and all, like everybody normally, right? Like, but he got, again, same thing. He's like, I'm surprised how many people responded to it like positively. Yeah. And like were super supportive of him.
I haven't done as much of that on my Instagram, but when I have been like upfront, being like, I'm sorry, like I'm making a comic book now, and when I was upfront and saying like, I wish this was out sooner, but like I'm trying to get over my own, like, trying to get over it, things having to be perfect. Yeah. And stuff. And, like, so many people were, like, very responsive to that. And they're like, yeah, no, dude, we're ready for when it comes out. Like, take your time. Like, make sure you get it to the point that you like it and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's nice. Like, I got more comments than I normally do and stuff like that. So it's like, I feel like people do respond now really. I mean, I feel like they always have, but now especially with the internet, the way it's gone and social media, that, like, being authentic really is rewarded a lot more than it used to be. Whereas, I feel like back in the day, like early internet, like, fake it till you make it could have worked in a way, but like people see through that so quickly now. You see it with girls just posing too. People will like rag on them even, or like they post a stupid quote like, how's your quarantine going, and they're like posing like with their ass in the air or something. It's like, you don't really care about that question, you just want us to look at this. But I'm just saying, I feel like people see through inauthenticity. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Inauthenticity. That sounds so weird. I feel like people see through that now, and I think they like
see through your fake shit.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's why people appreciate people like Gary more, as opposed to like, have you ever heard of Ty Lopez?
Oh yeah.
He's another like guru kind of.
Okay.
Whereas Gary, I feel like it's just like he's just doing his thing and then giving advice. This guy's like he made, to give some context, he made a YouTube video, like an ad, and it got really famous because he's just like, hey, I'm here in the Hollywood Hills, here's my Lamborghini.
Oh, that guy.
But you know what I'm more proud of? My shelves and shelves of books, knowledge, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then he basically he rented out that garage and that car and just pretended he was rich and famous, but he got rich and famous as a result of that.
Pretending to be.
But so many people I see like rag on him because they're like, "Yo, this you don't know shit." Like you're just pretending. Like I even saw someone who's a real estate agent go on his show and he's like, tell me what the first rule of like real estate or blah blah blah, and he couldn't do it. It's like, and he's like, but you're going out and giving advice on people for real estate and investing. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. It's pretty funny.
I mean, I think part of that, like I was saying, is there's more. So before the internet, there was just kind of like you have your one movie or like a couple movies, or you have like your show, and you got to do it in like 20 minutes because there's the commercial breaks and stuff. And so, like, content is very, like, you work on something for a long period of time, and then you put it out because you only have this one chance to kind of get noticed or seen. Because it's not... The consumption also wasn't that either. It's like you're either watching one show...
Consume the finished project.
Yeah, you always consume that one or two things of this one person and whatever, and it's just like the nature of content consumption is different.
The artist's growth was behind closed doors before, and now I feel like it's out in the open.
But a lot of that, where that comes from is because, like, and this is what I wrote in that post, is that the way we consume content now is like I'm scrolling through thousands of Instagram posts. I watched like a bunch of different YouTube videos, and it could be about the same thing. I could watch 1,000 videos about Gundam kits, which I have. Even if it's about, I would like to watch 10 videos on one kit just so I can make the decision of whether I want to buy or not. Like if you buy a new phone, same thing, right? You'd watch multiple reviews on that one phone, not just one review. Yeah. And there's also room for you as a person to like show all those parts of yourself because people consume everything, which also means another thing that you should think about when you're making content is that every post doesn't mean that much because there's like I'm scrolling through thousands of memes and selfies and pretty pictures and whatever that it's like, I mean, if your post didn't hit it, like I'll just scroll past. Like it's not a big deal. Like you just keep doing it and like eventually you'll get better at doing it over time, which is the side thing of it, but also just your mental, like you don't have to get so hung up on that one thing. But anyway, it opens up the door to different types of content, right? Which is like that, like the artist growth and all that stuff. And so like I think like where did this come from again? You were saying
how like inauthentic.
Yeah, so like there's room now to like judge people's character more fully and completely through the media they make, because there's so much room for them to make so much media. So like you can assess me more like accurately through all of the things that I post now.
And I think things are like they're broken down into so many different aspects with social media now. Like stories is a lot more like I feel like insight to like random day-to-day things. I see with people, like I know like Curt, you're like with you posting, sometimes you'll just post like, hey, my girlfriend's watching this show, right?
Yeah, I think that's
and stuff like that. But like just like with social media, you just get these little glimpses of life with these people, and especially the way it's broken down more. Like I was just saying, like with stories or TikTok, everyone's approach is all different, but like each one kind of fits a different niche of their life, I feel like,
What I mean, I think I was talking to Salil and Bobby about this, is that every platform seems to sort of fit it scratches an itch of some sort. So like if you want to go through it, right? Like Instagram at first was Instagram still to me is, and obviously there's a lot of crossover, and this isn't like the be all. It's not limited. It's not
mutually exclusive.
It's not limited to this. But it favors more like visually stimulating things. Yeah. Right? It's pretty people or like pretty views, or like even if you're doing like a soccer trick, it's got to look cool. Like, ooh, he spun that ball around his head. Yeah. It's a visually like stimulating thing. That's why like the
properly
the salt
guy. Cinematography.
Well,
slow motion.
Or like when he's cutting the meat, like, or food, right? Like just visual stimulation. Yeah. Whereas like Twitter, as a different example, is just like thoughts.
Yeah, this is a random stupid thought I have.
Yeah, like it's not like a book. It's like just thoughts.
Yeah, here's a mundane.
Right. Or as YouTube concept. Is like, I feel like you're expecting maybe like 2 to 10 minutes of like educational like information where you're like Google, like how do I fix my computer?
Yeah.
Or like like an entertainment-y sort of like vlogs, but the reason I was hesitating is it's not traditional entertainment in the way that we think about it, like movies and all that stuff. Yeah. But it is entertainment, obviously.
Some of it is, but
yeah, I mean a lot of it's entertainment, right? Like and you can mix both, right? Be like an entertaining whatever, but you know, I think a lot of this you have to think about like your intent when you're making the content. Yeah. Is like, what do you want to do with it? And that you have to actually know legitimately, like a lot of people mix them up where they're like, yeah, I'm just trying to help people. But like comment, rate, subscribe, and sign up for my ebook. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you got to really know what you're trying to do.
It becomes pandering really quick.
Like I had someone ask me before, like how, like, should I mix my political views or like whatever with my content? And in general, at first, like the normal thing I would say for should I put this in my content is usually yes, like whatever it is. Usually I'm like, yeah, like put your gut, like they're like put my Gundams and my art stuff and my training all in one thing. But there's some things, and this is my subjective thing, where it's like the political views are a little touchy, and I don't know if and
you're
again
gonna
it's
split your audience, but very quickly. I don't know.
But it goes back to like, what are your goals? Like, what's your intention with the content?
If you're a political content maker, then
like if you want this to be about like solely you and you just want people to relate to you as a person, then that's fine. It's just that this person has a business, and the whole reason why I encouraged them to get into it in the first place, like social media posting and all that stuff, was for their business. Yeah. And so I think that's there's something there if it's for like a business purpose, if you a different goal or whatever, but let's just take business purpose for example. Is that the content has to be geared towards providing value to people that are potential customers, or at least interested in the things that you're talking about. Like you're providing value because you're trying to build like that type of, you know what I mean? As opposed to kind of like, I don't want to say yelling, but almost like yelling at people because this is your political view of something. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I think there is a way to do it potentially if you can somehow come across like it's valuable to them and whatever. But also like, I don't see there being an issue with just having a separate channel that's just like about that. Exactly. Right? And then you have your other thing that's for your business. But it's like, what are the intents, right? Like, so when I post my stuff, the intent with a lot of my content is specifically like just I want you to like understand this because it'll help you. Because I know you deal with these things, like, because I dealt with them, which is like perfection. Like, I overthink these posts. For sure, feel like people are gonna judge me. Like, those are things that everybody deals with, and I just feel like talking about this in the way that I do helps people, and I can see it. It's helping them. But again, that's the intent of the content. I don't have like I'm trying to sell my ebook and whatever and do all this stuff.
I'm not trying to be a life coach.
Stuff like that, right? So I think the
intent is important because like you can imagine like imagine Pro ZD starts talking about politics. You're not gonna like that, like if your intent is to entertain and people use you as an escape, I don't think you should start bringing up like I'm depressed, I'm all these things. I think you should be upfront and be yourself. If you're like, hey, I'm feeling a little blue today on your story, that's fine, I think. But you don't want to drown them too much with your own problems.
I also mean like the intent of what is the bigger goal of all this. Like I said, if it's business results, then you might not want to
you don't want to talk
play
about
with like controversial stuff.
Exactly, because then you're dividing your audience.
If you're trying to build like personal brand reputation around just you generally as a person and who you are, and people might resonate with your political views, right? Same thing, people are going to watch. Lots of people, there's a handful of people that message me, not actually many, it's like one or two. They message me and they're trying to actively argue with me, and I just don't like, I mean, whatever. I just think this, like, I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to waste my time. Yeah, like, well, not, yeah, like, I don't need to convince you. I don't know why you feel
that's not your job.
Like, I don't know why you feel the need to, like, come at me with, like, I'm just saying, make your own videos.
Yeah, those are my opinions.
Yeah, like, you make your videos. I don't really care. Do you know what I mean?
I've seen it with comics, too. People are like, oh, you should have done it this way. And it's like, well, it sounds like you should make your own comic then. Like,
yeah. I'm at that point where it's, like, unsolicited advice is, like, insulting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't ask. Like, if I wanted to, I would have asked. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But anyway, going back to, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of if we want to keep this more on track with the Gary thing. Yeah. But what did you say? Sorry.
No, I mean it walks a fine line when it's like something like I get when it's unsolicited, it can be annoying. But if it's constructive, I'll try to hear it out. But like when it's like there's nothing backing it.
The problem with that though is that the what counts as constructive is they assume they know what you want.
So
people are true. Like when they gave us advice with GMV, it's like you guys should do this type of content.
It's like, no, we should do what we want.
But it's like you don't know. But that comes under the assumption that like, okay, we're trying to get as many views and whatever is possible.
Exactly. So we're trying to be big YouTubers.
Yeah, we're trying to get sponsorships ASAP because we want money now. We're trying to make it as big as fast as possible.
I guess.
And so like under that context, sure, whatever you're saying might work. Like, follow all the trends,
but
do all the viral things, right? But again, that's not actually what we were doing. So like, I don't understand. Like, you don't understand what I'm doing, so I don't need your advice. You know what I mean? It'd be different if we sat down. You were an experienced person that achieved what we want. Like, we want what you have, and how did you get there? Then that's like at least some. Like, okay, I'll do maybe it's worth considering what they did because we kind of want to get what they want. Mm-hmm, but usually this is just like a friend who doesn't even do anything themselves that's related to your thing. Yeah. And they're like, you know what you should do? And you're like, I don't care.
I had this, I was designing characters for my comic book, and I did the first design of a character, and I showed them like, oh, I like it, but I feel like it could be better and stuff. And then I made all the designs for my other characters, and then when they were all beside each other, he's like, oh, I really like this one. I'm like, that's the same design I showed you before. I didn't even change it. And, it's context changes. And, like, people, honestly, when they're not involved in that stuff, they don't always know. Like, they're giving unsolicited advice. And it's not always, like, what will be beneficial to your goal, like you're saying. Like,
it's because they don't even know what you're potentially, you know what I mean? So
it's like, this character might look weird on his own, but when he's paired with all these other people, then like it looked better for them for some reason. I don't know, it's different with art though a lot of times, where it's like if someone goes like, hey, your hands are a little off, I it's hard for me to be like, you're wrong, like I'm like, yeah, you're right, but like I didn't ask you, like usually if I have an issue with a drawing, I'll be like, hey, what do you think I could fix with this, like when I'm at that point. I try to be as open-minded as I can when it comes to art for constructive criticism. But it's not like I like hearing it. No one likes hearing, oh, you did this wrong, or I think you could fix this. But my issue is when people just go like, you suck or you're wrong. It's like, okay, give me some context, give me some reasoning, like, but that's a whole different issue.
But I mean, going back to the Gary thing, I'm trying to think of like what else. I mean, I made it in a post too where I'm like, I am thankful that he gave me the exposure a little bit, because now there's more people paying attention to me.
For sure,
a little bit. And, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people that might need, like, I don't want to say like advice, but like when they hear the things that I say, it helps them. Like one guy messaged me and was talking about moving out and how he's dealing with like kind of what my girlfriend and Sim went through, is like moving out, but like your family's like, you either like do what we say and it means you love us, or like you don't do what we say, which,
or you try to be independent and it means you don't.
It means you don't love us because you're not doing what we say, kind of thing. Right. And so he was dealing with like, what do I do? Like they don't understand, and then all this stuff. And I'm glad that like he considered me as someone that he would look to for like just some thoughts on some sort of thing, like. Just because he maybe saw me on the show, or like he looked through some of my content or whatever. So like that I'm appreciative for. That I've connected with like a bunch of people that like do resonate with the way I like think, and the stuff that I've said has helped them, because they say it legitimately. They're like, yo, this actually helped me out. Like here's another one that I think you and I deal with, and I try to like pull you out of this, which you understand.
Oh, for sure.
Is not measuring yourself by like the way that you idealize yourself. Like,
for sure,
either what you think you are or what you want to be, right?
There's so many things I'm aware that I should be doing that I don't always follow.
Well, I mean, I struggled with it too. It's because like that's where I was before, where I was like I am a video creator, and so
I don't even like that term. Content creator,
and so like if I don't make content and I don't make videos. I'm like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like, why didn't you make another video today?
Yeah, you get hard on yourself,
right? But it's because I'm holding myself up to this idealized thing of like, I'm a video creator.
Like, I have to be this.
Yeah, and so I'm defined by that. Like, I define myself by that.
That side of myself down.
And then I always bring up, I brought it up in the other podcast too about like, like the MMA fighters that they define themselves as champion MMA fighters, and then when they retired, or it could be boxing, or whatever too. Like you can feel they're like they're not really like, who am I? I'm not a champion anymore. Like, I'm right. So then they try to fight again. Yeah, like they try to fight again while they're old. Yeah. And then they don't.
Mike Tyson's gonna do that soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to each their own, right? Yeah. But it's just if you're fighting because you're insecure about who you are now, and you only identify yourself as that person, then you know there's like, it's not very healthy to like, cause then they're too old, so they can't compete. And then they get beat up, and then now they're even more down on themselves. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so I like something. It was because Dominic Cruz said this actually in the UFC. He's a UFC fighter, and he was saying like when he lost to Cody Garbrandt, he was like, I think he lost his title to him or something. I forgot. I don't remember the context, but right after he like owned it, they're like, oh, is there anything like you could have done differently or whatever? Like, are you happy with your training camp? He's like, no, I was 100%. That was a great training camp. I own it. He was just a better man tonight. Like I just, and then he's like, because I know, obviously a lot of the questions are more about like him, like, how did you feel about the fight and all this stuff? And he's like, dude, like he put like the kind of a long statement. He just kind of like just said it after, because he just started talking of like, dude, my life is way more than like fighting. Like I don't define myself by just fighting, like being a fighter. Right, and actually GSP said this in the Joe Rogan podcast. He's like, some people are like, well, fighting is life, and then GSP's like, fighting's not life. Like, there's so much outside of that he loves. Like I always tell you how like
paleontology.
Yeah, like like GSP is like his favorite thing. He almost thought he liked paleontology more than MMA, which is crazy. Yeah. Right. And so like I think that's a real thing, is you have actually that's exactly Dominic Cruz's words, is that you have worth, you have value, even if you don't measure up to like whatever you think you should be measuring up as. Exactly. Even if you're an MMA fighter and you didn't win the championship, like you're still a human with worth and value. Like your life has meaning outside of like, you didn't make this, like I didn't make a video today. So,
I don't think you should let yourself get defined by one thing in general. Like.
Well, it shouldn't be. I mean, if you want to stretch it, like I'm stretching it to the max of this concept, is that it's not even defined by. It's like just being a human. You have value, whether like
that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like that's for example, like one of the things that's working out during quarantine is like people they're losing one of their things. I'm sure nobody defines themselves purely by the gym only. I'm sure they.
I mean, we work at a gym. Some people.
Some people do, right? That's their thing. But I'm sure in their heads they at least have one or two other things, like what they do for work and what they do for fun outside the gym, whatever. But they lost one of their things, so they feel like as I lose my gains and my whatever, I lose a little bit of value here. Like I still get to go to work, let's say, and I still get to do this.
They lost a leg on their stool.
But like all the things, all the things that make me, I lost one because I don't go to the gym now, so I'm less of a person. Like I just. I can't, but again, like even without any of those things, like, so for example, like again, we're stretching this to the extreme, is like, if I was blind and crippled or whatever, like my life still has some meaning, even though I can't do MMA, I can't, do the art that I usually like to do. My life, there's still something there, like just being alive has its own inherent like meaning and worth to it, which is hard for people to, like for some people that's obvious. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's like the hardest thing to accept or even realize or think about, like have that mindset. And I found, and again, this is like the full circle of when we were talking about this in the other podcast, is that when I don't judge myself and I don't hold myself to those standards, like when I was saying I started to play games when I felt like it, I started to like build Gundams and not like be hard on myself for like not making content. I started actually clearly now as I make content way easier. Like I start moving a lot easier. And this, which led me to like another thing that I said, which was funny because somebody liked it when I said volumes speak volumes, which is funny which is when I was talking about depth of content. So I was like, I didn't specifically want to think of it like this, but I thought of another was like judgment clouds your judgment. Because if you judge yourself too hard, you're not going to be able to make proper decisions. Yeah. Right? Because you're going to be like, well, you're a piece of shit. You don't fucking do anything. And then that's just going to make you feel shitty. And then you might do it out of guilt. But I don't know if doing anything out of guilt is really productive.
No. I mean, I remember years ago, like, the main detriment to my life is I just felt guilty. Even when people weren't making me feel guilty. I don't know. I remember I'd be like, I'm sorry, I have to do this thing for work or something. I can't come out today. And I would just inherently feel guilty.
Yeah, I feel like you deal with guilt like so much, and I'm like, bro, why? Like
I was getting it from a lot of different directions, but then I would also start to like internalize it so that I'm literally guilting myself, And this was years ago, and it's taken me a while to like really get over a lot of it. I still get.
You know what's something that's interesting that Gary said that reminds me of that, or like is like, you know when let's see if I can relate this really well, because I'm trying to think of but it feels related.
Give me a good metaphor.
Where someone was like, you know, when they don't feel good about selling something, he's like, well, you don't believe in the product enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like, it reminds me of like being, it's because like, you know, the reason why I would feel guilty is because I legitimately don't believe in myself. Of like, I don't think I can do it, or like I don't think I'm good enough, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it results in like you're guilty because you couldn't do it, or you don't think you can do it. And
I think that's definitely part of it.
Whereas, you know what I mean? Whereas like it's someone who like believes, you know those people that no matter how like they're always late or like whatever, like they're like they no, not like that.
I know.
But like people that like slack on stuff, or like they're like lazy or whatever, but like they have that attitude of like, no, don't worry, we'll get it done. It'll be fine. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be fine. Like
it's fine, man.
Like I have those friends where they're like, it's like, I don't know, when I was thinking about this time where like, you know, when you go down to like fireworks, and that's like, you should like on the beach we have fireworks every year, and like we should plan and like go ahead of time to get the spot, and then
but like we'll get there.
But they're like no, like it's like already fucking
10 minutes
like,
before.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. It's like 4:30 or whatever, and people are already. I'm sure there's tons of people on the beach already.
It starts at like 9 or 10.
But they just have that mentality like no, it's fine. We'll just go, and we like leave at like 5, and we just kick it down there.
And a lot of it like cuts back to like that one time that they did pull it off by showing up.
Yeah,
like,
and
you know, like, and then they think they could live the rest of their life just doing that.
Like, obviously that's a bad example of it, but there's something to that I think can help like there's something in that like those people don't feel guilty as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they legitimately believe in themselves, and they think like, yeah, like I'm a good guy, I'll get it done. It's fucking, you know what I mean? There's that self-confidence a little bit in it.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, like Brad has that. Like when we used to make videos, he's just like, yeah, we're gonna get it done. Like we'll get it done. Like I remember that time where I was like, he was like, yeah, we'll spend a couple hours doing this, and then I'll go get to do my thing too. And like, bro, it's not about like how many hours you spend, it's about we gotta get it done. Yeah, like do we finish it? And then he was just like, well, let's get it done then. And I was like, oh, it was like, I remember that moment. It was just so funny because I made it such a thing, because I was like, yo, it's not about hours, it's about let's getting it done. He's like, well, let's get it done then. And I was like, oh, like even just in the moment, even if it was like lame or whatever, it's kind of funny. But and so like, yeah, when I think about that, because I used to feel like that too. Like there's times with you that I remember like where we were legitimately joking about you like not coming, just because that's what we do. We just make jokes.
Whoever didn't come, we'd
and then you legit like when you came, you were like, yeah, I know you guys actually think I don't show up that much. I'm like, what? Like, dude, the whole thing was a joke, and you're like, no, I know you guys legit think I don't show up like very much at all. Like I'm trying, guys. You know, I'm stressed, and I'm like, bro, like we don't even feel like that.
I know, and when you're in a low place, you know the answer, and you know it's not the case, but you still I'm internalizing my own guilt.
Did you though?
At the time, no, because I was internalizing my guilt and stuff. But now in hindsight, like when I see you guys joke about it, I'm like, yeah, and then I join in on the joke.
Yeah.
But now, like I've seen this with other friends recently, and they're like taking it seriously, and it's like, yo, we're just busting your balls, like, you know, like this is what friends do, like, it's not, there's not truth behind it, like, you know, but we might have seen this with some people.
But again, like ultimately, like what I was trying to get at too is like that guilt. I think also comes from like I think we both have this. Is like sometimes we just don't have that like confidence in ourselves. Like,
no, for sure.
That, like I don't like. I think that's like I don't know. This is a bit of a not super related, but when I think about like, you know, I train as kickboxing, like I feel like a big thing that holds me back is that like in the moment sometimes I'm not confident about like I can do it. Like I think I could fight way better if I had that like you like just I'm gonna
kick your ass no matter what.
Or like like whatever I do will be successful. Like just assuming. Oh, actually, there's a book on this. What is it? Something success like with winning in mind. It's called With Winning in Mind. And so like the best athletes, it's like they move, and their mentality when they play is like as if like like I'm the champ, like I'm gonna win. It's just all of this, what's happening is just me winning. Like even you hitting me, like if I lose points, that's part of just me winning. Like I'm gonna win. And so when they do stuff, it's like, yeah, like that's part of me winning. Like when I throw my jab and my cross, like it's gonna land because I'm gonna win. And if it misses, it's still part of me winning because I'll maybe transition into throwing a hook after. You know, like all of it is part of just you winning. But it's that mentality. Like I don't even want to call it confidence though. It's just and it's almost like just like an assumption. Like it's just a fact.
A lot of those people, and I do think it's a good mentality, but it's just like they usually believe in destiny a lot. You know what I mean? Kind of like this is how the story, like there's a story arc to my life, and this is how it has to go, and ultimately it's gonna lead to like me, I don't know, Goku winning. Me ending up like
where I know what you mean. I agree with that 100%. Like a lot of people that have that, like
they have that kind of fatalistic, not in a bad way. I just mean like they do believe in that, like that destiny. It has a set path for them.
Yeah, and then those are the people that see the signs too. Are like, oh, this means that, you know. And I feel like
we have a friend like that.
Yeah, like it works for them, I think too. And weirdly, and you know, obviously I don't believe in like that stuff too much. Like I'm playing with that idea in my head but it works for those people. Like when they feel like that, at least in sports as an example, when they feel like that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I'm gonna win, and then they win. Yeah, it's like that's works for them. Like it legitimately like changes the way almost like the world works. Yeah, it seems, you know what I mean? Like it almost seems like it has some almost like intangible, like the way the world works type of difference. Yeah. Which, you know, obviously I have no proof of that. That's almost like now you're getting like into like spiritual shit where you're like, oh, if you believe it, it'll happen type of like the secret kind of shit, right? But it's almost along those lines because I know, like, at the very least I know if you believe you're gonna win, you're gonna move differently.
For sure.
And so like
confidence, you know, is always better than being negative.
Yeah. And so I think like, you know, like one way that I think we need to like get over that guilt of like not doing stuff and whatever, which like I think I'm proud of myself for being way further along in that now. Yeah. Is like I actually legitimately have, it's like, you know, I think about like you know, there's a lot of like stuff I want to do, like projects and stuff like that. And before I would feel like definitely like guilty about like, oh, I haven't worked on, like I know this is my dream, but I haven't done anything to like, I haven't really done anything at all about it. But I'm like, no, if I legitimately want to do it, I can totally see myself doing it in the future. Like, or if I haven't built a Gundam in a while and that's something that I care about, but I haven't done, I feel like, oh, I should build I bought these. I didn't build them yet. But I'm like, dude, it's kind of like when, like Gary said this thing too, which is obvious, like hobbies stay with you forever, which is like, it's like his sports cards thing. He sold sports cards and then he was in the wine business for 30 years or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then now he's selling sports cards again. You know, it's just because like, it'll always come back if it's something you really like. Like your hobbies will always be there. Like I'll always probably have a chance to build. I
remember seeing that shift in your mentality where it's kind of like do it when you want to do it.
Yeah. Like for example, I'm editing a video right now that like for building Gundams, like me building like not a time lapse but like a montage of me building the kit, and it's like it's getting a little tedious, and I would feel bad if I stop now. But I don't think I should feel bad. Like, I think if I stopped editing the video midway, I think I should just be okay with it. And, like, who knows? Like, I might get back to doing it later.
You learn something about how you feel about it and what you like to do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Even though the video actually is starting to look pretty decent. But even if I, you know, like, I shouldn't feel guilty for stopping. Especially, that's the other thing that I always talk about, too, is, like, just because you're, like, good at it doesn't mean you should do it. Like, it's, like, happiness over, like, just because you're good at it, which usually means money. Because if you're good at it, you can make money. Like, yeah, you're really good at that. You can make a lot of money. Yeah. And you're like, I don't want to do it, though.
Well, we've covered a lot of this extensively, but I would like to get back to, like, the GaryVee stuff. Like,
you want to talk about the GaryVee stuff?
I want to, like...
You want to pick my brain?
I do.
I've had a full 10 minutes with Gary.
So you talked to Gary...
So you can ask me all of Gary's secrets, and I'll
give me all of Gary's internal secrets. So you asked him some questions, kind of, like, about what you... Like, can you go over the question you asked him again?
Okay. So you know what? I didn't actually fully get to ask the question that I wanted to fully, but it was just because, you know, like, there's only a limited amount of time. I was kind of nervous, obviously, too. Yeah. And it's also like, it sounds like the same question, but they're a little bit different. So the question I actually asked him was, being somewhat. Actually, no. It was related
giving
to, like,
advice, right?
Sort of like giving advice
that you haven't done necessarily.
Yeah, it was like being kind of privileged a little bit and giving advice to people that whatever. But it was more like what I wanted to ask, like almost word for word, is like, you know, I want to say these things to people, and they might sound a lot like you. So I feel like I have like this imposter syndrome.
Yes,
of like who
okay.
am I to say these things, especially when it's people that are like they've been through a lot of things that I haven't experienced, like loss of family members and financial pressures.
And you're giving advice on that, and you felt weird doing that because you're
Yeah,
from a
like,
privileged place, or like you haven't experienced
Yeah,
it.
like I just have no,
And,
you know what I mean?
And Gary basically said, like, that's great because you're coming in from a different perspective, essentially.
Well, two
like,
things, right? Like
people might not have.
One thing was that he's saying I fit the like giving advice to the thing that I have experienced, which is being like privileged and then not like accepting that and trying to come to terms with that and trying to like not be privileged in a way. Like I don't know how to explain that, but like for example, like I moved out, so I'm not relying on my parents. Be self-reliant, being independent, right? So obviously that makes sense. It's like I can
with their...
like that makes sense because I can give advice based on that because I did it.
Yeah.
The other ones were like, for example, I had that friend that's like under financial pressure because he is divorced and he bought another house with his family and all this stuff. Right. And so I'm like trying to problem solve with him. Like maybe you should, sell your house and you can move closer to your son. And if you have your son X amount of days a week, then you pay less child support, all this stuff. And I've never been married. I've never bought a house. And, that was kind of one of the questions. The other one though was kind of, that's sort of similar. It's kind of like, I don't like sounding like him, like I don't want to just say the shit that he says.
Gary?
Yeah, sort of, right? But I didn't really get to ask that one properly. But his point was like, yeah, you should put out the content, and like I think mostly because like it's my truth, like I legitimately like believe these things. Like these are things that I like internalize as in like I believe in them, and this is my truth.
Yeah.
Of like things I believe at least.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that's really important, which I've said to a lot of people too, when they, even if like let's say going back to the political views and your business, if you want to bring up your political views. If you're gonna and you feel you have to, the best way to do it still is with like that humility. Like, not be sounding like you're yelling at them.
You're doing the wrong thing. You have the wrong views.
It's better to go about it more like I understand what like your side, like what you think, why you think this way, and what led you to become this way. And like I get it. Like if I were you, I would feel the same way. Type of thing, sort of similar to that type of feel. And that way, like, you can come across a lot less like this dickhead that's yelling at you. Like, you know what you guys need to do? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the core of what he's trying to say. Is like, if you're not full of shit and if you kind of speak your truth and you have humility when you deliver it. And I think, like, I try to do that, right? Like, that's the first question. And I think that gave me, like, the validation that I needed to a little bit to say those things that I do. But I think it's just I kind of keep remembering to stay to have that humility too, because sometimes you want to be like that, right? Like you want to just yell at people. It's like, bro, why are you putting this unnecessary financial pressure on yourself? And just be like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? But obviously, like that's not very empathetic at all.
No,
right? That's just you yelling, which isn't really gonna do anything, right?
They'll resent it more.
Yeah, like you're not gonna make a difference, right?
So like what I wanted to get at with that is like after you did that, I was like. I called you, and I asked you. I'm like, did you already know the answer he was gonna give you, in a way? But it's just nice hearing it, like it's reassurance in a way.
There was two ways it could have went, right? Yeah. Because there's some. I'm not surprised he said that, and I think that I can like. It's the thing is he would give a different answer to someone if he felt wrong, like differently about them.
I feel like they don't fully understand all
like because there's some people that are like that probably want to say stuff that I want to say, but their intent is different. Their intent is more like maybe I don't know, they want to build their personal brand or something.
Want more followers
or they want more followers or something like that, and or they're mixed up and they just but like it's like maybe they're actually messed up, but they think that they know things because of that, so they want to like tell people what to do, but it's like, bro, you should fix your shit first. Something like that. There's a lot of things that like I don't know how he would have read me, but I'm glad like the way I delivered it and the way he read me was like I think pretty accurate. He's like, no, I think you're trying to help. Like when he said that, I'm like, okay, he gets it. Like he gets what I'm trying to say. He's like, no, I think you're trying to help. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like I legitimately just want to fucking help because I see this shit and it fucking bothers me. Like same thing when I posted the quarantine stuff about me saying like, yo, you guys, why are you crying? Like stop crying. It's like I'm trying to help.
Crying won't get you anywhere.
Like you're just gonna, but so if you read me right, I think yeah, I guess I would have thought that he would have said that, but I also think I needed the validation of like, like, because I agree with this too, is like, I don't like it when people talk about shit that they don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
Do you know what I mean? And that was the hang up that I had a little bit. It's like, I don't really know about buying a house.
Yeah, the
right? Like, I've never really done it, and I've never been married. But I also think, like, hey, maybe it's an option if you're paying a mortgage and you don't really need the house.
When they give you context a bit, like, I feel like it is okay to, like, they always say, like, oh, don't give advice on, parenting if you've never been a parent. But it's like, I can see when, something's not going right there.
And I think it's also, like, and in my delivery, like he said, too, it's like, just make sure you're being, what's the word? Like, you have humility.
Yes,
I don't know what the word would be in the other way if I said it, the grammar wise. Like, make sure you're humble about it. Make sure you have humility.
Have humility.
That's how I said it, right? Make sure. Make sure you're humil. Make sure your humility. That doesn't make sense, right?
That's what but in the comments, can you let us know
what's the word? Is like, make sure you're humane.
I think humble.
Make sure you're humble. Yeah, humble is
I guess.
Is a very similar word.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I do, like, talk about those things, like, obviously just be like I know why you bought the house. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why these pressures, like, I understand why, like,
given the context, I get why you got into this situation.
Yeah, and just be lighter on it rather than, like, sell your fucking house, you idiot. Like, that's not, that's
what
not.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's a clear answer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big thing that, like, he emphasized more about it, which allows me to make that content more, as long as I'm being, like, empathetic to where people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I tried to, and I think it makes me feel better too, rather than just being like, you guys should do it, which I wouldn't do anyway, but I just, adding that one part at the beginning, maybe saying like, hey, I understand, right? Like, I get it, but here's some problem, like, what do you call it? Some answers for you that might work for you, maybe. Yeah. But I understand how, like, I don't judge you for, all that stuff, right? So that's the first question.
For sure, yeah.
And then second question was more like, oh, like, can I make, like, a little bit more money off of stuff that I like doing? Because it's like his crush it theory, or his crushing it theory is, you can love whatever the shit, like, things you like, and you can make some kind of money off of that.
If you like it,
if you're good enough and whatever, like, you make a podcast around, his thing is like Smurf it up and whatever, right? Like, if you love Smurfs, you can make a podcast about Smurfs or sell Smurf t-shirts and shit or whatever. And so I just wanted to, like, brainstorm. I wanted to pick his brain of, like, what his suggestion would be, like, should I, because there's so many things that he said that resonate with me that I've thought about too, right? But they're not always the same thing. It's like, obviously make content, but also he was saying, like, oh, sell shit you love. Right, which is like, oh, like, maybe I should sell Gundams. Like, I always thought it'd be really dope to have, like, a Gundam store. But
for sure,
I think, like, when he was pushing me, like, putting out TikTok and stuff like that, like, when when he said legitimately, he's like, I remember him doing this too, when he's like, Curt, when you, or he's like, you just gotta like put out, I think, or it's when he's like, you're uncomfortably likable. You just gotta put out, like, your life out there, and, like, just people, a kickboxer, and you make hits, and, video game, whatever. That's, like, a theory that I already had before.
Yeah.
It's just that he's never said that in those specific words. He said it in kind of roundabout-ish ways, but that's as clear as he said it in that I've heard.
Yeah.
And especially to me specifically, is, like, to put out content literally just about me and my life, rather than, like, potentially, like, obviously, like, I'm sure he says you don't have to niche. He says your niche is you, right? So that's a similar way of saying that.
True.
Right? Because people always find that, like, obviously, if you find a niche that nobody else is doing, like, that will be I'll like, obviously that's the fastest way to grow, right? Because there's a niche that people need or whatever, and you found it, and you're going to capitalize on the thing. But sustainably in the long term, I don't think that's that, like, you can build a big channel, maybe you can sell it or something, but in the long term, it's more sustainable to build a channel that the niche is you as a unique person. Otherwise, you're stuck in that whatever niche you found. You're stuck doing that shit forever, and you might not like it. Now you're trying to innovate within that niche.
Yeah.
And what if other people come to your niche, and it just I don't think it's very sustainable in the long term.
No. Yeah.
But for you long term to, like, if you want to be long term like that, like I'm saying, like, obviously lots of people, like I said, you can build a channel and sell it, and that's fine.
Exactly.
But if you want to be long term, like, I think the niche is you uniquely. Like, there's no one that's exactly like me that like likes the Gundam kits, and I grew up in Vancouver and I went to Moberly Elementary School. You know, like just these little nuances, and you know, like when you go down the rabbit holes, that's what clicks. Yeah. Like when I went, you know who Roberto Blake is?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like a YouTube advice guy. Yeah. And like I saw in the, I think I told you this too. In the background, he had like Attack on Titan on his screensaver, and I was like, "Oh, that's super cool." And then I scrolled through more videos down the rabbit hole, and I didn't know he even drew before. Like he liked to draw manga before. Yeah, I'm like, that's already like I'm already like invested in him a little bit more because of those nuances. Of that. And so the niche isn't like I can't like obviously there's lots of other people that make content like mine that's better, but the niche of who I am will make me like resonate with different people, stand out more than those people, right? Sure. Or it's not even stand. Oh yeah, it'll stand out in my own way, because I'm just thinking of like there's not like one guy that I go to for kickboxing videos. Yeah, there's like a bunch of different guys for sure. Like I follow a lot of different boxing coaches on Instagram, right? I don't have like, oh, I follow this guy, but like if I want to like I not follow that guy and then follow, you know what I mean? You're just like, no, I just follow all of them. Like I can watch as many, you know what I mean? So, but I know this guy likes this type of combo specifically. This guy's a little bit different. Like they're both boxing coaches, but this guy trains a little differently. Like the little nuances that matter. But anyway, like that was like a theory that I had for myself in terms of like my specific potential to like go and like make a little bit more money. Being like, how would I make a little bit? Should I niche into like just making Gundam kits, or should I niche into just making whatever? And that's more, you know what I mean? Or you know, but that was a theory I had. Like, well, okay, I could probably just make, because I remember I started doing a little bit of like vlogging just my life a little bit, and I didn't put that much out of it. Like I wasn't super into it back then, but I knew it was something that I could do. Like I thought, but it just having him say it was like, okay, now someone who's in the game, who's doing this shit anyway. He has this daily V, now it's weekly V, and all his vlogging. He's someone that's in the game. Yeah. He's saying like you can do it, like you can do that. Yeah, you know what I mean, and like that gives reassurance. Then. Yeah, like I'm on the right track. Like I thought, because you know what I mean. Because I think he'd give different advice to different people. For sure. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's kind of like there's that chick that was I guess she's in high school or something. We talked about this, and she was like, I've made like 200-300 videos. Oh I remember this specific. Of me like vlogging or something. And then he's like, okay, now maybe you got to switch it up. Like now maybe the 200-300 videos like that's a fair shot of like whatever you were doing. Yeah. So now maybe you got to like try some new shit. Like maybe you got to do something else, which to me is like different, right? Yeah, it's like, Gary being like, your life's boring. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I didn't want to say that, joking, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what her videos were, right? But yeah, I mean and I think he like it just I know from. I mean, he says it, but you don't want to like give him the credit because now it sounds like he's cocky. But like he has a pretty good sense of people. Yeah. And this is his argument for why he cuts people off, is because he's like, I know what they're gonna say before they say it. But I think he does have like a pretty good read on like where people are going. Like you can tell like when people are talking to him. Yeah. He's trying to figure out where they're going, but you can tell like just by the tone of someone's voice. Sometimes I've been realizing that more often now, right? Like you know when you ask someone something or there's a conversation. As soon as you hear the tone of whatever they say, you can actually get a pretty good idea of what they're gonna say. Yeah, like almost all of what they're gonna say, just by like even just like because it's communication. Like you're a human, you're gonna read what their expressions are even gonna say. You know what I mean? Like if you said something and I'm like, nah, you already know what I'm gonna say. Just from me going like, nah, you know what I mean? Like you know exactly what I'm gonna say. Exactly. Right. I remember a specific call with Gary was this guy. I guess his parents own a dental practice. I don't know if you know. Okay. Oh yeah. The Asian guy. Yeah, in Toronto. and him especially, you could tell what he is gonna say because it was just like, oh, your parents are forcing you into this, and you're resenting them. It's like you know what he's like. Do you like it? You know he's gonna say no. There's no chance he likes it at all. It was pretty funny because at the end of the call, basically, Gary's like, "Why am I afraid that you're still gonna go and do this?" Yeah, because you can tell by the tone. You can tell he's not there. Like he wasn't there yet, and I can see that's why Gary like. Gary's like, "Do I need to get on the phone call with your parents? I can do this." So he's like, "I will do this," because and then because. Even he's arguing everything for why he shouldn't go to the dental practice, but at the end he's like, "But I'll work there part time." You know, it's like when he actually said, telling Gary you don't want to do this, but you're so afraid, obviously, of what your parents will think, and obviously there's like maybe a cultural thing as well behind that. It's tough. It is tough. He's gonna.
Because that's like a year or two of probably bad times with his family, and maybe even longer.
Well, nobody wants to deal with that
No,
shit. Like, it's so fucking
you don't want to confront
painful.
it. But in the end, if he's happy and he's able to sustain himself that way, then I think they'll have a healthier relationship.
Yeah.
But he obviously is afraid of doing that first hurdle, which everyone is.
I'm trying to think of like an analogy. I'm trying to think of like if you have to like fix your toilet or something, and you gotta like go through all the shit.
Yeah.
But it's like if you don't fix your toilet, they're just
Then
gonna be like
more
leaky.
shit will accumulate.
Yeah, they'll just make slowly more leaky piss and shit on the floor. But it's like you gotta take that day and like just dig through the shit and really just you gotta fix it.
Or you could go get a new toilet. But it's going to be a hassle because you got to put so much work in to try to put that new toilet.
Anyway.
Let's take this analogy for that. No.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good analogy. But
I don't either.
But it's just, I understand. But, I get the, like, dreading having to, like, do the thing.
Yeah.
Even though you know it's the right answer. That's what I told that guy that was trying to move out, too. I'm like, you know the answer. I understand. It's just, like, no one wants it. It's, like, the hardest thing to, like, because it's going to be, it's like when, like, my girlfriend moved out. You just feel the built up anxiety of when she had to like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna be
a fight.
They're gonna find out, and we're gonna be we're not gonna talk, and there's gonna be
difficult terms for
all the tension,
Yeah, no kidding, and that's kind of where I'm coming out with asking you this question. Like, did you already know the answer? Kind of.
Well, like
it's kind of maybe
it's like when you have the intuition,
the right direction of what you need.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He gave me the validation of it, right? Like
the validation. That's it.
Like I had the intuition of, I should put my life out because I think my life is pretty interesting, and I've said it multiple times.
Yeah.
I said it to Sadi. I said it to you.
Me. Yeah.
I said it to everybody. Like I think my life is pretty interesting, and I actually think like everybody's life is pretty interesting if you frame it in the right way and you just package it the right way.
Exactly.
And so that was my strategy. But it's just interesting that he. And I'm sure, like, he could read it by what I was saying and maybe whatever, but it was interesting that he specifically said that. He's like, dude, if you're this kind of guy, you should just put all that out there.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of people, we all internally kind of do know the right answer. It's just, reassurance is so good for
he says that too, right?
That
like,
direction,
he says that, and I think that's almost, like, and my sister Jen and I were talking about this a lot too, is that, like, almost all the time when you're talking to someone, and this isn't a bad thing, but it's like it is that you need some sort of validation. Like
that is why you talk. You need that talking off the ledge moment, almost like I talked you off the ledge. Now you talk me off the ledge, please.
Like you're throwing ideas out, and like just reading a little bit of response is like okay, like yes, yes, okay, thank you.
Things are
thanks.
Okay,
it's like I'm going the right way.
Yeah,
right. Like as long as nobody's like. What? Like you're like okay, I think that's probably the right direction, right? Like usually you just need something. It's almost like a framework a little bit of like you just need to lean and be like, hey, I'm going the right way. Like,
exactly.
Right. I'm going there's still a railing there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. And so like he was like that was like a good push for me. I feel like it helped me a lot of like
no for sure, and I feel like those moments are important to have. Yeah. Especially with someone like we respect, like Gary, to tell you, like, hey, I think you're doing this
versus,
the right way,
there's lots of other people that give you the other way. Right?
Yeah. Where you should do this more so you get sponsorships.
Yeah, like, they'll give you that. They actually do give you that face. They're kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing there.
I think you doing your own path is dumb.
I think you should do my path.
Yeah. In fact, I don't want to do my own path. You do it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, should we
wrap that up?
That was an hour and a half conversation, but
it wasn't all about.
It's been a while. It's been months since Curt and I have been able to have a podcast of any sort, really. So, well, it just shows to go you.
Nothing seems as it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for watching. I'm super proud of Curt for this, and I'm glad we finally got to talk about it. So, check it out.